Hello, welcome to the channel, and judging by the title of this video, I can guarantee that I might turn the comment section off, because apparently if you talk up against a certain person, you get death threats from neo-Nazis and all kinds of things like that. But anyway, 12 reasons, and I'll do another video as well, an article by The Guardian, but anyway, this is 12 reasons why no one should ever listen to Jordan Peterson ever again. To be fair, I used to like him, and he did make some good points. Again, I think there's a problem with it. It's kind of like, well, the thing is, if anyone sounds intellectual or intelligent, things like that, like, you can get away with anything, you know what I mean? But the way he goes on about Marxism and things like that makes him sound a bit batshit, you know what I mean? It's like, there's a secret cabal of communists or something, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure if he mentions this, but he did actually admit that he's never read a single piece of literature on Marxism. Well, if you don't, okay, you're more. If you, it's like me criticizing Nietzsche. It's like, I've read some of Nietzsche, but why would I slag off or criticize the works of Nietzsche if I haven't read it or if I haven't studied it? You know what I mean? It's stupid. But he's basically right wing. So 12 reasons why no one should ever listen to Jordan Peterson ever again. Jordan, JPP, we'll call for short, a professor at University of Toronto, became world famous after his free speech protest against Bill C-16 that allegedly forced public servants to use people's preferred pronouns or face a steep fine and possible jail time. Since then, he has become a respected quotation marks public intellectual, and a best-selling author twice over his academic magnus opus Mappus of Meaning and his self-help book 12 Rules for Life, telling young men the world over to clean their rooms before trying to save the world. But JBP is dangerously incompetent at best, or an unscrupulous hack at worst. There are 12 reasons with references why no one should ever listen to J.B. Peterson again. And even The Guardian points out, the other video I'll probably do, he's entitled to his opinion, but everyone's chewing him off, saying, oh yeah, he's really reliable, he's such a good guy, and whatever. It's like, the thing is, I fell into that trap. Even on the extreme left sort of thing, I sort of fell on. There's some spokespeople I got interested in and thought, oh, they sounded interesting. But then, and the fact that it's funny because he's like, oh, I'm not right wing and I don't want to seek. He's not in it for fame apparently. But then it's like, well, now he works for the Daily Wire. That's like me saying I'm not anti-Jewish, but I'll go work for a magazine that's anti-Semitic. Stupid. You know, I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's like, sorry, it's moving around a bit, but I thought just sitting comfortably. Let's start with the event that made him famous, his protest against Bill C-16, a bill that proposed to add gender identity and orientation to what is colloquially referred to as protected classes in Canadian Human Rights Act. If they fine me, I won't pay it. If they put me in jail, I'll go on hunger strike. I'm not doing this, and that's that. I'm not using the words that other people require me to use, especially if they are made up by radical left-wing ideologies. Which is funny, because he did actually explain that the concept of left-wing and right-wing is stupid anyway. Yeah, they're constructs that don't... I mean, he came up with an intellectual argument, which in a way contradicts his idea. It's like, okay, so you're saying that essentially it's all nonsense or whatever, these two separate things. But yet you're going after the left wing. It's like saying humans are much as bad as each other. There's no such thing as left or right wing. Yeah, you're then attack the left wing. It's just stupid. There's so many contradictions. It's painful. The problem is, I mean, I get in debates with anyone in real life. Problem is, I find it hard to debate anyone in the sense that problem is, you sound like you're gonna lose against anyone who sounds more educated than you and stuff like that. So it's very hard, but you know, but it's like, but he sounds, because he's an intellectual, he's got a title. It's like everyone's like noshing him. Problem is, they also fit with their ideology. So you know, JBP characterised the law as forced speech and formulated as protests as a fight for freedom of expression and against forceful suppression and control of speech. Freedom of expression, yet you're anti-trans. Okay. So, as long as it conforms to your idea of what freedom of expression is, then it's freedom of expression. But a trans person can't use their pronouns or can't express themselves this way. I'm pretty sure that's freedom of expression as well, but never mind. But the amendment to the law meant, in other words, he actually didn't have the noggin to actually understand it. But the amendment to the law meant that it would become illegal to deny someone a job or a house or discriminate against them in a workplace on the basis of the gender they outwardly express or identify with. In other words, it's like the laws we've got here. You don't have to, you can still have your opinion. You can have like an anti-trans opinion. But as long as you keep it yourself and you don't implement it in terms of, I'm not going to loan you a house. You know what I mean? It's like, there's certain services that you're legally meant to supply, if that makes sense. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's basically just I'm waffling, but it's basically just an anti-discrimination law. They're not forcing you. They're not saying if you don't use their pronouns, you go to jail. It's like the laws. It's the same, basically. That's all it is. Just if you go look at the laws that protect homosexuals, it's the same law. Each word for word, that's all it is. All they're doing is just adding trans to the protection against it, the protection for homosexuals. That's all it is. But it's the same laws. It's the same protectioning. It's like you can have an opinion. It basically just protects people from being assaulted or abused, which is weird, because anyone who gets assaulted should be, you know what I mean. But that's all it is. It's not forcing you to do fuck up to anything. It's stupid. But anyway. But the amendment law meant that it would become illegal to deny someone a job or house, discriminate against them in the workplace on the basis of gender they outwardly express or identify with, just as it is illegal to do so on the basis. See, is what we're getting at. Just as it is to do so on the basis of religion, ethnicity, and sexual orientation. So it's not like they're changing. It's not like they're rewriting the laws to take away your freedoms. They're just adding an extra slot. Yeah? So it's got like religion. So that protects Christians, it protects Muslims, Jews, you name it. It's, you know what I mean? Ethnicity, different racial colours. So it's an anti-discrimination law. It's not forcing you to do anything. I mean, to be fair, if you're being a right-wing dickhead to a black person, I'm pretty much sure you would get done with that. That law's already there. It's like you don't see people moaning about that. I mean, it's ludicrous. It did also amend the criminal code, but that only pertains to hate-motivated crimes and hate speech. Not misidentifying someone, because don't forget, we can do it by accident as well. You do it by accident, as JPP has prone to claim. And all I can say is, from what I've seen, all the comments about his was it neo-Marxism? There's a neo-Marxist cabal trying to destroy society. Oh my God. Was he drinking fluoridated water during the Cold War? Dr. Strangelove. The commies are coming! To be crystal clear, Canadians cannot be jailed or fined for using the wrong gender pronoun since it passed over 2 years ago. So in other words, the law's already passed out, and yet he's fluffing over it. It's like, okay, exactly 0 people have been jailed or fined because of the law amendment. That's because you can, if you don't, to be fair, and it's so easily done. And believe it or not, people go, oh, you can easily tell someone's gender. No, you can't. Trust me, you can't. I know people who are not trans who do not look like their biological sex. It's just because it depends if also the qualities of which parent you adopt. Because if you look quite a masculine woman and you have your hair short, sometimes that will, you can't, because stereotypically we're so used to seeing shapes and, I think anyone could, I don't judge you on a haircut, but sometimes your eyes will get caught off. But yeah, so it's you can make mistakes. They're not saying, oh, you'll get fined and sent to a gulag for making, which he thinks, Ugh. Probably there's people trying to defend him and cherry pick him, saying, "Oh yeah, but it makes some sense when it comes to science." No, he doesn't. It's basically someone described him as pseudoscience with rantings of neo-Marxist conspiracy theories or something. Hey. JP's horrible misrepresentation of Bill C-16 notably contributed to hate and antagonism against and confusion about trans and non-binary people, because morons listen to him. I'm not saying you're all morons. I don't want people hating me, but some of you might see a video and go, "Oh, he sounds really intelligent. I agree with what he says," but you may not know his background. You know what I mean? So those sort of people I can understand. If he makes stuff that makes sense to you, that's all fair enough. But the problem is a lot of disturbingly dangerous people listen to him. Like, the right wing is enough as it is. They don't need someone to stick. That's the problem, you see. I mean, yes, unfortunately, that's the other thing as well. Freedom of expression, it's like, well, according to the American Constitution, especially. One extreme example, as I've said, is, and I'm not, this is not, it may sound like I'm using an anti-trans thing against the anti-trans argument, but no, what it is, it's like, for example, in America, it's quite funny because the right wing go, "Oh, I'm trying to protect the Constitution of the United States of America." Well, put it this way, if you think gender identity is ludicrous, well, put it this way. Thanks to the Constitution of America, if I wanted to, I could go over there and claim to be some messiah figure, create my own little religion, right? And they would leave me alone. They have no problem with that, as long as I was paying my taxes, abiding by a law, and not causing any harm. I could do that, because it says in the American Constitution of freedom of expression. It's an extreme example, but it's like, and someone wants to identify as female. They're allowed to, according to your Constitution. Deal with it. It's just, what the fuck? Right, so I could rewrite this. I could write this entire article about this point alone, because he's not because he said a lot more crazy shit about Bill C-16. But suffice it to say, JBP has either not bothered to read the amendment, which wouldn't surprise me, severely misunderstood its legal implications, and or was intentionally misrepresenting its contents. His reckless and dangerous incompetence or unscrupulousness should disqualify him from public discourse alone. But wait, there's more. If you had paid any attention to JBP, you might have heard him talk about the dangers of postmodern neo-Marxism. Oh my God. So he didn't want free healthcare then. Never mind. Which is quite funny. People were banging on about Marxism. But Marxism gave the UK, well, before they took some of the services away, gave us the NHS, and we used to have free education, and the trains used to be in public service rather than government. It's like, but all these nice things we want, like free education and all this, they're Marxist ideas. And he's anti-Marxist. Okay, so you want everything privately owned. Well, that's all right for you because you're rich, selling this trite or doing your crap. Hey, if you've paid into JP, you might have heard him talking about dangers in the employer. Right. Not only is he unable to clearly define what he means with this, but as many have pointed out, it's an inherently self-contradictory term. A huge part of postmodernism was and is critical of the kind of grand narratives that Marxist theory, with its claim that the struggle and economic inequalities shape history, is about. Ooh. No shit, Sherlock. 2. It is also dangerously close to the Nazi dog whistle cultural Marxism that was popularized by Anders Benjamin Breivik, which itself, I'll probably butcher that, which itself is a rehash of the literal Nazi dog whistle Kulturbolshevismus, cultural Bolshevism, used by the literal effing Nazis in Nazi effing Germany. So in other words, he's using. It's like me saying. In other words, it's like, I suppose it's like, because it's the thing is that some of my friends are pointing out this to me as well. If you watch politicians as well, be careful. People, especially when you trust politicians, because a lot of politicians are, oh yeah, he's doing this bit for the country and all that shit. We've had it. I'm not going to say any names, I don't want to get in trouble, but we've had politicians who've done this grandiose speech, and it's word for word, it's like something from the Hitler did at the fucking. Is it Nuremberg? I can't remember. I've got so much data in my brain. It's like, right. But you know what I mean? It's like, oh my god. There's a lot of rhetoric. It's like he probably hasn't read Karl Marx, but he's probably read Mein Kampf. Ooh, bitch. Again, he is either incompetent as F or uncaring about the implications of his words. Probably the latter. Probably. Don't get wrong. He does. That's the thing, you see. Because if I was an intellectual, I would have to then admit that I am incompetent and stupid. Otherwise, if I have that, or I just got to own it. You know what I mean? If you're an right-wing douchebag, then own it. Don't say you're not. It's just your actions and your words. Actually, your words seem to speak more than your bloody actions. And don't get wrong. He's done some good, but then again. That's the other thing as well. It's like, yeah, but he's done something. He's done good. He's written books that turn lives around. It's like, yeah. Where have we heard that excuse before? In history, even with the most extreme, even with dictators in history. I'm not comparing him to a dictator, but you know what I mean. It's like, oh yeah, but he did some good. Yeah, Hitler did some good. And what's your point? It doesn't matter. You say, and good for you. If his books and that helped you, good for you. But be careful, because I used to get. Because here you go. This is crazy. I know. I used to be into David Icke because he made some good points. But then again, you trace some of his literature, and he took all his good stuff is from other literature, so it's quite good. It's from good sources. That's why it's good. It's like Alex Jones. Alex Jones will draw you in with these really good points. You know, what I mean, people draw you in with these good points, but then you get to know him more, get to see this. But then he lost me at satanic rituals and lizard people and that sort of stuff, and also the fact that with David Icke, because he's anti-trans, he thinks there's some sort of secret trans agenda where the government's trying to makes you laugh as well. The government's trying to turn people trans. Well, that's funny because they're trying to eradicate trans people, but never mind. But you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, but according to you, we're infinite consciousness experiencing, so therefore there's nothing. Trans people are not in error because they're experiencing. They're the infinite. You know what I mean? Having that experience. So you know what I mean? It's just crazy. So even on the extreme left of it, there's bonkers. People who are bonkers, but they sound quite smart. You know what I mean? And I used to think there's some good points. And he does make some good points. There's some bits where he's a realist when it comes to certain issues, like, oh, how are you going to fix things? How are you going to fix that? You know what I mean? But apart from that, he should stick to the basic stuff, and political stuff is, well, don't get started. No. Although JBP will happily rant away about the evils of postmodernism at any opportunity, although history cycles, if you look at society, it cycles, it gets to a point and falls, gets to a point and falls. It's kind of ludicrous complaining about postmodernism, because postmodernism happened before. It's happened before in the past. It's just cyclic. And unfortunately, there's too many corrupt people in power that ruin it, and plus human nature as well. That's why you could never break. That's why there's any problem breaking out of it. So can't pronounce his words, but yeah. So actual thought, meant, and wrote. Yeah, sorry.
Although JP, that's what makes it laugh because people go, "Oh, he's a good man." Oh my god. There's a few people that I don't know. I just no. I worry about anyone who thinks that this guy's good. And like I said, if he's done you some good with his work, that's fair enough. It's helped. But not being funny, I'm pretty sure there's words of wisdom in some very. Well, you could say there's lots of work. Well, put it this way, Mao. Have you read some of the quotes from Mao? He read some really good words of wisdom, but doesn't mean he was a good guy. But anyway, it's like, where do you want to go with that? Anyway. Although JPP are happy around about evil's personalism, he does not understand it at all and severely misrepresents what the most influential postmodernists, Faloust, Derrida, etc., actually thought, meant, and wrote. For this is somewhat ironic, considering that his own philosophy can be argued to be postmodern in nature. It's so true. Although JPP will happily rant away about the evils of Marxism at any opportunity, he does not understand it at all and severely misrepresents Marxist theory, which is to be expected from someone who is on record admitting to never have read any Marxist theory ever. Oh my god, what a douche. Oh my god. See, that's my problem as well. I may not agree, say with the trans issue, transgender discussion. I may not necessarily agree with someone's opinion, but at least give them some. I give them a slim chance, as it were, or consideration, or listen to them, or take the time to listen to them, because I know they've gone off and done the research. But if you're going to slag off Marxism, and I've seen some of the comments he said, it is like those typical illiterate people you get on the internet who go, "Oh, Marxism caused hundreds of thousands of deaths." No. Let me tell you something, and I'm probably going to lose a lot of subs. If you unsubscribe, because I'm going to just about to say it here, I'll be annoyed. Actually, I'll be disappointed because it shows a lack of comprehension. Because Marxism, communism, socialism, all these ideas, including, here you go, I'm going to put it all on the same table. Even capitalism, it's quite funny, was it Engels or something? One of the founding fathers of capitalism actually was a friend of Marx and was kind of a socialist, but anyway. But let's lay on the table. All these ideas, communism, socialism, well, communism is actually utopian socialism, like Star Trek, that's communism. All these ideas, political ideas, are not evil. These philosophies did not cause the deaths of thousands of people, right? Communism, right, for example, is utopian socialism. It's like a pipe dream, yeah? It will never happen because it'll never work because humans are selfish, and plus we've got corrupt leaders in charge. If you want to know what's communism, real communism, and I'm going to do a video on it as well, though, to be fair, because it's an ironic. I find it a bit ironic with the way Americans argue about, especially in America, they argue about this. But communism is actually Star Trek. Well, I don't see anyone living in a Star Trek society, kind of utopian society, do you? So even though you can identify as a communist, it doesn't actually exist, if that makes sense. It hasn't come into its utopian point of view. And trust me, if you don't believe me, one of Gene Roddenberry's wife said he was a communist. But the thing is, he rants about, Marxism caused all these men. No. It came down to someone taking a pipe dream, giving someone a pipe dream, and then ruining it. These ideologies get exploited by corrupt people. Look at Christianity. Regardless if you believe in Jesus or not, you could argue that there's a lot of good morals in Christianity. But look how that was abused by the church. I could easily turn around and say, you're ranting about Marxism killing millions. Well, religion killed billions, mate. Jog on. You know what I mean? But there's no truth to Marxism didn't kill anyone. It's just a philosophy. It's like me saying, "Oh, I read Discworld," and it's like accusing Tolkien or Terry Pratchett or, I don't know, the person who wrote Game of Thrones for killing 300,000 people in this country because they're books. That's the same stupid logic of it. I know that's exaggerated, but but the fact that he's never read Marxist theory, it shows. Because he rants on like some... It makes him look illiterate and uneducated, because if you read it, it's one of the things I find quite controversial, especially if you're someone who's been brought up to hate communism or stuff like that, or socialism, whatever. It's kind of like, it makes me laugh, because all the things that you want, all the decent values you live by are communist. If you go for a checklist, you think, oh shit. I'm not saying I'm necessarily a communist, but I can't say I'm not. I can't say I am, and I can't say I'm not, because a lot of the values, like free education, all the nice things that we want, it's like, oh dear, awkward. But you know what I mean. But the fact that he rants on like some sort of, like they used to do in the Cold War. It's like, oh, the Reds are coming, the commies are coming. His rants sound like that. It's just like, oh my god, Marx. Considering how many countries are so conservative and right wing, yeah, I really see Marxism. We have communist parties in our country. There's communist parties everywhere on this planet. They have not even made it into the very own houses of their own houses of parliament. They're just little groups, fan clubs, little groups, little clubs. I don't defend one of them, but in terms of their influence, that's all they are. They've probably done some good in terms of, protests, getting free, helping laws, human rights law being passed and all that stuff. But you know what I mean? It's like they're not like this invading force. You know what I mean? They haven't even made it. Yeah. In a debate against Marxist philosopher Slavoj. It's funny, I got Czech blood. I'm not saying it's a Czech name, but I got Czech blood in me. You think by genetics I should be able to do this. You know what I mean? Like people say about, was it Scarlet Witch? She leaves her English and speaks Russian. I didn't grow up speaking it, but it's in my blood. Slavoj. Oh, sorry, mate, I can't say it. In a debate against Marxist philosopher Slavoj. He only read the Communist Manifesto in preparation. So he had a quick proofread, oh my god. Which is little more than a call to action pamphlet and contains no actual theory. Yeah, good point. In his 30 minutes opening remark, he laid out problems he claimed to have found in the communist pamphlet, and allegedly thus in Marxism, which is akin to debating a PhD level subject after only having read the course descriptions of university classes on the issue without ever having attended any of them. Oh my god. This is where it becomes dangerous, you see. Man's entitled to his opinion, and God bless him, whatever. I'm not religious, but as the saying goes. But Jesus H. Corbett, seriously, man. Oh my god, his credibility just dissolves. You know what I mean, though? Jesus Christ. See, if I could be asked, give me prep time. Well, that sounds a bit like Batman, but give me some prep time, and I could act as well as act educated as him, and pull the same bloody tricks. You know what I mean? Just read a paragraph from Wikipedia, and you're done. Really? But oh god, it just gets worse, doesn't it? If you can't be, if you're slagging, even though yes, history is written by the victors and various lies written in history, etc., we know enough because we're educated in school about the Nazis, right? About World War II and all that stuff. If I wasn't educated in that subject, why in the name of Hades would I then go and slag it off? Even even if say Nazi, I mean, right, Nazism is bad, right? Yeah, but why would I slag it off if I was someone who I didn't even know what the whole ethos of it was? You know what I mean? It's just that's just me being a moron. So like someone said to me, goes, to be fair, if you're going, it's like politics. If you're going to talk about politics, unless of course you know these basic tenets of how I think works behind the scenes, then there's no point in us talking about it. And it's the same in this case. Why are you giving this guy airtime when he can't be asked to go off and spend time to actually delve into it? Because I think this is a contradiction as well. Let's separate their darkness. Yeah, if you look at all the good things that these so-called right wingers or these defending our right, all this crap that they say they want are actually in the philosophies of Marxism and stuff like that. It's like, oh my god. It's like people say, it's like, oh my god, it's like, oh, I don't go off on one, but you know what I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible. It's like you can't be bothered, and the thing is, he gets away with it because he's a professor, yeah, and he's probably way more educated than I am. But it's troubling that someone who's way more educated than me then suddenly goes, it falls like a stack of cards because you either have an agenda, mate, or this thing is, you're entitled to opinion, yes, but he's going out using a platform to try and influence people's minds. If you're not qualified to do that, because you're clearly not, as a professor, yeah, you could teach stuff, but in schools you don't hear. Like a professor, for example, a professor could actually say to you, you don't hear a professor or well, it depends. I'm not sure what your college was like, but in schools, you don't very often hear them go, oh yeah, according to history, communism was bad. However, you don't hear his opinion on the matter, do you? He just tells you what's in the history books, what part of the curriculum. You know what I mean? But it's, you know what I mean? There's a line. You know what I mean? But, oh God. But you're using a platform, and the problem is, people think he's the bee's knees, but then you just look underneath the layers and it's like, oh my god. And the problem is, it's dangerous though. I'm not saying he's necessarily dangerous, but it can be dangerous with people, because if you're not as educated, you get sucked in. You're in danger of getting sucked in, and it's just like, oh my god. People like this though, who can't make the effort, are dangerous. When it came to trans issues, it's like when I did because I used to be a member of the Labour Party, and I left because of, I just lost faith in the government. But even back then, I actually looked into socialism, read the manifesto, the Communist Manifesto, and all these different books. And I've actually got books on communism and socialism, and oh my god, I even got books on ancient Rome. I loved ancient Rome. I looked at their politics, all kinds of things. It's like, oh my word. So I probably got more gumption or more credibility than he has if I wanted to argue or argue for or against, because I've looked into it. He hasn't even bothered to study any of it, not even theory. Oh no way. And he's admitted it. Right, so I got into this, and that irritates me. It's like, and you want to take him seriously? It just doesn't look good. As a CV, it doesn't look good. It's like, why would I get a French teacher to teach someone French if they don't know any French? Or something like, what I mean. In his magnum opus, Maps of Meaning, a bunch of his own sources directly contradicts the very claims he uses them to make. He also deliberately or unwittingly ignores the historical context of several of the examples he uses to argue for his universal archetypes, a context that directly undercuts the point he is trying to make. Doesn't surprise me. And here's the irony as well. It's not because of peer pressure and all this nonsense. Because believe it or not, the government is not so supportive to the so-called thing. Is people saying the world's gone woke. The government's not woke. There's so many bills and laws that are very scary. They're not. You know, it's not the world's not woke as you think it is. It's the media make it out to be extreme woke, but it's not as woke as you think it is. I forgot the point I was going to say, but you know what I mean. So I forgot what I was going to say then. But yeah. Oh, that's it. But don't you find it's funny or interesting that it's only right-wing or conservative media outlets that will give him some time? And he gets attacked and slated on mainstream media, which at times itself is right-wing. Yeah? He's not given the time or day. Why is that, do you think? Look at climate denialists. They're not given the airtime. Why is that, do you think? People who say the Earth's flat, they're not given the spotlight. What do you think that is? He's not being given a spotlight on the mainstream media. You'll get some people, unfortunately, I've seen, I won't mention their names, who've had them on the show and interviewed him and talked to him like he's right pal. But he's not. But it's the right-wing media outlets that have... And it's because he says stuff that agrees with their ideology. I'm not right-wing, yet it's like me saying... You know what I mean? Again, like I said earlier, it's like me saying I'm not anti-Jewish or anti-Semitic, and yet I then go and join some club that is. Whatever. If he's not right wing, then I'm the Messiah. An advice interview. Incidentally, if all of you think he is right wing, don't think I'm the Messiah. Go away. Be gone. How shall we go, sir? Won't sweat. Yeah. Just fuck off. Life of Brian, great film. In a Vice interview, while discussing women in the workplace, JBP equates wearing makeup for women with sexual provocativeness and sexual displays. Fucking hell. So, ladies, you can't make yourself look pretty. You can't make yourself look tidy. Claiming that the reason women wear red lipstick is because the lips turn red during sexual arousal. Fuck me. I don't know if I can find it, but I actually did a video on nail polish. Women paint their lips... I won't be able to tell you the significance of red of the lips, but the nails, red nails, used to be a royal colour. Cleopatra, for example. I think you'll find there's a cultural reference somewhere as to why women wear red or these different colour lipsticks or makeups. Yeah, it's the same with men. Men used to wear makeup. As solid. I mean, it's marketed. Don't get me wrong. Things are sex sells products. Yeah, that's it's been marketed. Oh, look sexy. Ooh, you know what I mean. But no, mate. You see what I mean? No, don't get me wrong. I actually used to like him a lot. Hands, if you made it this far, a lot of people who chew him off probably not made it this far. But if you made it this far, can I just say, hands up, flat out? I actually used to like him. I used to think this guy's rather sound. This guy's rather intelligent. Then, as you get to know people, things you then get disappointed, don't you? It's like, oh, he's such a great. Oh, okay, fuck. You know what I mean? I used to like him. I used to be a fan of his. No, thank you. Right. Red during sexual arousal. Or blue. Behave yourself. Right. Depends what they're into. While there is certainly a solid anthropological argument here for the cultural origins of makeup, this is insanely reductionistic and is completely removed from contemporary contexts where it is culturally expected of women to wear at least some amount of makeup in public. Women even put on makeup in all female prisons. And there are reported cases of female inmates exchanging sexual favours for beauty products, the reverse of wearing makeup to get laid. In the same interview, he expresses doubt about whether men and women can coexist in a workplace at all. JBP, oh my god. Thing is, I saw this article. I just proofread a lot of the things. I think it couldn't get any worse. I thought, oh, pardon me, and then it's like, oh my god, because I sort of know about this about him, but I'm like, oh, it can't get any worse, can it? JP is sometimes derogatorily nicknamed the Lobster King because of in his writings he sometimes uses the natural hierarchy emergent in lobsters to argue in favour of hierarchies in humans. In his infamous interview with Kathy Newman, he explains there is this idea that hierarchical structures are sociological construct of the Western patriarchy. And that is so untrue. That is almost unbelievable, and I use the lobster as an example because we developed from lobsters in evolutionary history about 350 million years ago, common ancestors, and lobsters exist in hierarchies and have a nervous system attuned to hierarchies and a nervous system that is similar to ours, and as part of our attempt to demonstrate that the idea of hierarchy has absolutely nothing to do with social construct. That's just a massive straw man that is almost funny. No serious academic, politician, or intellectual has ever claimed that all hierarchies are social cultural constructions. What feminists, SJWs, and even anarchists are running against aren't all hierarchies ever, but unjust hierarchies, specifically hierarchies based on race, gender, economies, etc. As YouTuber ContraPoints here out in a video, JPP, you can use this argument the same way he uses it to justify literally any hierarchy or authority, no matter how unjust. I'm not sure where to go with that one because, to be fair, you do have a hierarchical system in, say, animals like chimpanzees and stuff like that. But then again, it depends, isn't it? It also depends on the level of awareness of those who are living it, because don't forget, chimpanzees are really intelligent. They're like small people, basically, aren't they? So, you know what I mean? Just because it's in nature, you know. I'm not stumped. I think that probably just takes another video on to explore that. But anyway, JPB, I don't want to take up too much time. JBPs is almost impossible to pin down on any political subject. For all the criticism Kathy Newman got for misrepresenting JBP's beliefs and putting words in his mouth, I do feel sympathy with her because her interview is a nice case study for JBP's particular style of intellectually dishonest rhetoric. He'll often say something that is uncontroversial and true, while also implying something controversial, but when confronted on this, he'll retreat or attack you for misrepresenting him. Well, they always do that when they get caught their pants down. For example, some people might feel I misrepresent his thoughts on women in the workplace from reason 8, because he never explicitly says that women and men cannot work together. But that is what he heavily seems to imply. We don't know the rules for working together. The relationships between men and women are deteriorating rapidly. We don't know if men and women can work together successfully in the workplace. He frequently heavily seems to imply horrendous shit, and he is either dog whistling as F or too much of a coward to say what he honestly believes. Sounds about right. Not just on that point, but yeah, it's like, if you're going to be right wing, fucking own it. Stop being a... JBP uses his platform to actively laud and promote his daughter's ludicrous all meat, yes, all meat and only meat diet as having cured his depression and arthritis. This claim that has no scientific basis whatsoever, and there's plenty of research that shows that this can lead to severe vitamin deficiencies such as scurvy. Arr! There's not only just insanely irresponsible, but dangerous to boot. I mean, I'm gladly they feel better and all, but keep that shit away from your humongous and very influential public platform, for fuck's sake. There's a YouTube channel called Praga University, I think, is it Praga? Which is a very right-wing channel. American far-right propaganda channel, there you go, that lies about and misrepresents everything from feminism to economics to racial tensions. It has videos with literal white effing nationalists, and I generally use the channel and their guest host to know who is not worth listening to. JBP has no less than 2 videos on this channel. In one of them, he calls universities propaganda tools that indoctrinate your children into dangerous far-left ideologies, and that you should let your children, shouldn't let your children go there. Which is ironic because he himself is a university professor. I think he should have typed there shouldn't have, because why would you? Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's like, how would you still have your job as a professor at a college university if we didn't simply, yeah, there you go. And with that, I thank you for your attention. I could have gone even longer, but this has been 12 reasons for why no one should ever listen to JBP ever again. Oh my god. So, Professor JBP. How salty are you, Professor? Well, he makes fair points. JP is exactly his shift described as article as rhetoric, though appearing to delusional rugged individuals those who believe in great good to impact group and misguided energy. See, there you go. There's another one, ladies and gentlemen. Before you go and take his advice, go and look up an article on what psychologists say about him, about the now former professor. So yeah, there you go. Sorry if I waffle through that, but oh my god, it's terrible, isn't it? Oh my lordy lord. Bly said I used to be a fan of his. Not a major fan, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say a fan. I used to like a lot of his stuff because he sounded like he made sense. Again, it's that trap in it. They sound educated, so they sound like they know what they're talking about. But yeah, it's unbelievable. And that shit, that again, I mean, I go that really. To me, that's a pet peeve of mine. It's like, don't slag something off like a topic like maybe transgenderism, Marxism, all these different things. Why are you even laying into these things when you have done all research into them? Yes, you can have an opinion about it, but if you're going to debate about it or criticize it or attack it, have some background insight into it at least at some point. Jesus. Sorry, I'm sure I'll probably get a lot of hate for this video and all that. But yeah, there's a few others I can name that you should avoid as well, but oh my god. But yeah, I'm probably going to lose some subs, probably get some death threats, because that's what happens, you see. Anyone who speaks, it says a lot as well. It's like the Trump supporters, you know what I mean? It's like if you speak up against these people, you get death threats. And it's like, oh, whilst we don't condone these actions, well, you don't stop them, do you? You don't say, could you not do this because you're giving me a bad name? Because people think I'm influencing you. Well, you clearly must be, because they're doing it in your name. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to sit through it. If you want this information, or if you want to share this information, I'll put a link in the description below the article. I'm going to do a second video as well, with like an article by The Guardian, which makes some good points, which I did a quick scan and proofread. But yeah, so anyway, if you like this video, then hit like. But like I said, you know, if any of his work has done you some good, then fair play. But all I say is, in my studies of, in my own personal research of history, and I've bought various books like Meditations of So and So and the Sayings of So and So. Put this way, you know Sun Tzu, The Art of War. apparently I watched a very informative documentary where historians go over that he wasn't a pleasant man, despite his wisdom. He was not a pleasant man. But there you go. But he made good points. He was wise. So, you know what I mean? But yeah. But I said, I cringe now. And he said something about stupid. I can't remember what the point was about. It was like he said something stupid about women, female bricklayers. Oh my God. Hey, they just sound worse after a while when you get to hear more. Mind you, anyone who works the Daily Wire and that, it just sounds really bad. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like the video, hit like. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe because it'd be great to have you here. And it doesn't cost you a thing. And so yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'll probably lose subscribers before I get some hate, death threats, but hey. But yeah, I just thought I'd do a video because it really. If you want to be a fan of his, then fine, but it just really worries me. You know what I mean? So, I just feel it's, you know when a friend, when you have one of those friends that takes you to one side and say, "Let's be careful, mate." You know what I mean? That's what this video is really doing. So what I really want to do is just tread carefully. I mean. Don't get too absorbed. Don't get too into the hero worship aspect of it. You know what I mean? Because that's all. Yeah, it's very troubling. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.